With a face like that, she could be on the cover of Le Debutante International.
So fucking what? Lots of models are actually really smart people, wad.
No.
These are my 5 favorite Mac titles, focusing on titles that run natively or optimally on Apple Silicon Macs. Whether you have the M1 MacBook Air or the latest M3, these games deliver amazing experiences tailored for Apple hardware. I'll cover system requirements, story highlights, gameplay features, graphic performance, pacing, pricing, and Mac-specific notes for each pick. If you're a Mac user craving high-quality gaming, stay tuned. Starting with number 1, Disco Elysium, a masterpiece RPG, now smoother on Mac. Disco Elysium's painterly isometric world and dialogue-heavy gameplay run perfectly on Apple Silicon. Your goal is to solve a brutal murder mystery, but along the way you'll also be piecing together your own identity and confronting the moral, political, and personal demons that haunt you. The plot is incredibly rich. It's part of a murder investigation, part existential journey. The writing is often compared to a great novel that's sharp, witty, and adult in its themes. The game plunges you into a conversation with dozens of characters, each with their own secrets and agendas, in a district simmering with tension between unions, drug traffickers, and corrupt officials. Expect hard-boiled detective tropes mixed with RPG mechanics like skill checks and dialogue choices. Pacing-wise, Disco Elysium is deliberately slow and immersive. It can take around 20 to 30 hours to complete and encourages you to take your time, explore every dialogue tree, and really inhabit the role of the detective. The gameplay in Disco Elysium is unconventional for an RPG. It's often described as dialogue and decision-driven. You create your detective's personality by allocating points to various skills. These skills actually talk to you internally throughout the game, acting like voices in your head, giving advice or commentary. This is a pretty unique mechanic. Your own skills can sometimes lead you astray or have conversations with you, the player. As you explore Revachol, you collect clues, interview witnesses, and make choices that steer both the case and the development of your character. The pros of Disco Elysium's gameplay lie in its freedom and reactivity. You can truly play your detective in many ways, as a noble cop trying to do good, a corrupt alcoholic mess, or completely insane. The game's dialogue choices and skill checks adapt to your approach. There's a lot of choice and consequence, giving it high replayability for a narrative game. Unique mechanics like debates with your own psyche and the deep skill system make it unlike any other RPG. This is a game where your worst enemy is yourself. One possible con is that because there's no combat, if you come in expecting fights or a typical RPG loot/progression, you might be caught off guard. The gameplay is more akin to a classic point-and-click adventure or a visual novel blended with RPG elements. But if you relish rich dialogue and world building, Disco Elysium excels at it. There are also some timed elements, like certain things happen in specific game days, but it's generally pretty flexible. You won't easily lock yourself out of finishing the game. It's more about how well or badly things end. On Mac, the game runs using the Unity engine and has been pretty optimized for Apple Silicon. The system requirements are pretty moderate. It asks for about 20 gigabytes of storage and at least 8 gigs of RAM, but it's not super demanding on the GPU. I can comfortably say that on any M1, M2, M3, or M4, you can run Disco Elysium beautifully. As mentioned, Disco Elysium is slower paced, leaning into exploration, and it can be funny at times, laugh out loud, and other times, sad and thought-provoking. The pacing allows for these tonal shifts. One moment you're arguing with your partner about wardrobe choices, the next you're contemplating the nature of despair while staring at a bleak sea. The game is definitely text heavy, so if that's not your cup of tea, the pace might feel a bit slow. But if you treat it like a good book and let yourself get immersed, time will fly. The game is available on Steam, GOG, and the Mac App Store, and is typically priced around $39.99. Number 2, Stray. Stray's neon-lit cyber city is beautifully realized even on Apple Silicon Macs. Stray is a story-rich adventure where you play as a stray cat lost in a neon-drenched, post-apocalyptic city inhabited by robots. You're accompanied by a small drone named B12. You unravel ancient mysteries and seek a way back to the surface. Despite the feline hero having only meows for dialogue, the game manages to deliver a pretty emotional narrative with heartwarming moments and even some heartbreak. The plot is pretty short and tightly paced. I managed to finish it in around 7 hours, but it remains engaging throughout. This game combines environmental storytelling with a brisk pace, keeping you invested without overstaying its welcome. As a cat, you'll be platforming and puzzle solving through alleys and interiors using your abilities to hop between rooftops, claw open paths, and even knock off objects from ledges. The perspective is third person, letting you see the world through the cat's eyes. Stray isn't really combat heavy. Instead, it mostly focuses on exploration, light puzzle solving, and stealthy sequences by evading the city's hostile creatures. It's been praised for authentically capturing cat behavior and movement, from scratching at doors to curling up in cozy spots. The unique mechanics make Stray feel fresh and true to its cat protagonist. It's a linear adventure at heart, but there are hidden collectibles and lore for completionists. Overall, the pros include its unique character perspective, clever environmental puzzles, and a lack of traditional combat, which makes for a relaxing adventure. Some might find the game on the easier side, but its charm and originality are the real draw. Visually, Stray shines with a gorgeous cyberpunk aesthetic. Think rainy streets illuminated by neon signs and dim lanterns. The art, direction, and lighting create a moody, atmospheric world that's fun to explore. On Apple Silicon Macs, Stray runs natively and is optimized for Metal, even supporting Metal FX upscaling technology. This means M1, M2, M3, and M4 Macs can run the game smoothly without emulation. In terms of requirements, Stray needs macOS 12 or later and an M1 chip or above. There's a lightweight on storage, 8 to 10 gigabytes, and runs well on most Apple Silicon machines. On my Mac, I was able to stay around 60 FPS pretty consistently. Stray's pacing is often described as gentle and exploration forward. There are some moments of tension. Most of the game involves exploring the city's nooks and crannies, meeting robot citizens, and solving environmental puzzles at your own pace. The story unfolds in a mostly linear chapter structure, and because the game is on the shorter side, the plot moves forward steadily without much filler. If you prefer shorter, well-paced narratives to massive open-world grinds, Stray will feel like a satisfying weekend adventure rather than a massive commitment. Stray is available on Steam and the Mac App Store, and it launched on Mac at a price of $29.99.
A father's wish is a powerful thing. Disobeying mine cost me everything.
Number 3, Assassin's Creed Shadowed brings the blockbuster open-world series to Macs, launching simultaneously with console and PC. It's the first AC title to launch on Mac at the same time as on PlayStation and Xbox. Set in 16th century feudal Japan, this game continues the franchise's historical saga, following the covert war between the Assassin Brotherhood and the Templar Order. You step in the shoes of two protagonists. Each hero has their own storyline threads that interweave, giving players dual perspectives on the conflict. The plot centers on justice and revenge during a time of chaos in Japan. Expect political intrigue, clan warfare, and classic Assassin's Creed twists and turns. In terms of pacing, Shadows offers a lengthy narrative with plenty of side content. You can switch between Naoi and Yasuki during the missions, experiencing their distinct story arcs, and eventually discovering how their destinies converge. If you focus, the main storyline delivers a tight cinematic experience, but it's easy to get pleasantly lost in exploration. Overall, the plot is pretty epic in scope. Think of samurai drama blended with sci-fi. It may not be the shortest game, expect around 50 plus hours for a full playthrough, but it keeps things engaging with two very different protagonists and a host of characters on each side. As an Assassin's Creed title, Shadows features the hallmark gameplay the series is known for: a vast open world to explore, parkour movement, stealth assassinations, and visceral combat. What sets Shadows apart are its dual character systems and dynamic world mechanics. Playing as Naoi emphasizes stealth, agility, and the classic assassin playstyle, while Yusuke offers a different feel. He's a samurai, so gameplay as him leans into face-to-face combat, dueling multiple foes with sportsmanship and strength. Another standout mechanic in Shadows is the seasonal and weather system. The world isn't static, it features a day and night cycle and changing seasons throughout the story. It isn't just cosmetic, seasons and weather affect gameplay. For example, in spring or summer, dense foliage offers plenty of hiding spots, but in winter, those same bushes are bare, forcing you to adapt your stealth approach. On top of that, Shadows introduces a spying network feature, as now you can recruit informants across regions that you meet to feed you intel on targets and world events. Managing and utilizing this network effectively can make missions easier. It's a bit like building your own team. On the flip side, Yasuke can rally and train warriors in his hideout, essentially forming a small samurai militia. It's worth noting the game is absolutely huge. Completionists will find tons of side quests, collectibles, and even Japanese creature encounters. Assassin's Creed Shadow is really demanding, so on a high-end Mac, you'll be seeing console quality or better visuals, volumetric fog, detailed textures, and even ray-traced lighting. The minimum specs suggest you need at least an M1 Max and 16 gigabytes of RAM. I have the base M4 with 16 gigabytes, and it'll only run on Apple Silicon. If you have anything less powerful than an M1 Max, you might have to play at very reduced resolutions or lower some of the settings to maintain frame rate. In my testing, I was able to run the game around 1080p and 30 FPS, but at higher resolutions or in busy areas, the frame rate dipped significantly, sometimes below 10. The game supports dynamic resolution scaling and Apple's Metal FX upscaling, which helps somewhat to boost frame rates. Still be prepared. This new release pushes max, and so the graphical appeal is worth it if your machine can handle it. Or you can wait until they optimize the game further. Assassin's Creed Shadow is available in the Mac App Store for $69.99. Next is Balatro. Balatro's retro-style interface belies a deep and strategic deck-building roguelike that runs flawlessly on even base M1 Max. So Balatro is probably one of the most addicting games I played besides Clash Royale. It's a poker-themed roguelike deck-building game that offers endless replayability. The premise is that you're participating in an illicit underground poker competition, trying to amass the highest scores and survive through successive blinds. Think of it like Slay the Spire meets Texas Hold'em. Each run you attempt is a self-contained journey where luck, strategy, and clever card combos determine how far you can get. You start with a standard 52 card deck and play poker hands that hit target scores for each round. As you progress, you earn special cards like certain jokers and other power-ups that bend the rules in your favor. There's a vendor called the Shop between rounds, random events, and boss encounters called boss blinds that add variety. While Balatro doesn't have cutscenes or a storyline, it has a really fun vibe. Balatro's gameplay is its standout feature. It's a single-player card game roguelike. You draw cards and lay out poker hands to meet or exceed target scores each turn. The unique twist is the assortment of power-ups you can get, which introduce effects that never exist in regular poker. For example, one joker might add a molt for any flush that you play, another might allow aces to count as any suit, or you might get a wild card that transforms into the rank you need most. These bonuses stack and combo, so as you advance, your deck becomes a crazy engine for massive hands and high scores. Each run is about building synergies. Perhaps you focus on collecting jokers that boost straight flushes, or you assemble cards that let you draw extra cards and extend your hands. The possibilities are vast, which gives Balatro enormous replay value. No two runs ever feel alike, and there's always a new combo or strategy to try. Game progression is measured in blinds, and after a set of hands, even if you've beaten all the target scores, you move to the next blind, which will be tougher. It scratches the same itch as other deck builders, the joy of crafting an overpowered combo, but the poker element gives it a familiar feel. Runs are relatively short, at most maybe an hour, and make it very addictive. You'll often find yourself saying, okay, one more run after a loss. There's also endless mode and daily challenge runs for added content once you beat the core progression. The only potential con is that since it's not story driven, anyone who prefers narrative might miss having characters or plot. But for roguelike enthusiasts, Balatro is a gem. Graphically, Balatro embraces a retro look. Cards are displayed with a simple but stylish artwork, and the UI has vibrant colors and animations. Because of this, the game is pretty lightweight and it runs at high resolutions easily on any Apple Silicon Mac. The system requirements are trivial. It works on macOS 11 Big Sur or later, or any M1 or Intel CPU, and it needs just 1 GB of RAM and 150 megabytes of disk space. I have it pretty much installed on every device that I own. Pilatro is available on Steam and also the Mac App Store and the iOS Store, priced usually around $15. Number 5, Death Stranding. Death Stranding delivers its stunning landscapes and unique gameplay on Mac, requiring Apple Silicon but matching the visual quality of its PC and console ports. Death Stranding is the brainchild of Hideo Kojima. The story is equal parts science fiction and supernatural, with heavy doses of Kojima's signature storytelling. As Sam, you'll encounter memorable characters and unravel a narrative that delves into connection, loneliness, life, and death. It's a trippy, emotional ride that can be at times mysterious, touching, and outright bizarre. Expect long cinematic cutscenes and plot twists that slowly reveal what caused the world's collapse and Sam's role in possibly reversing it. In terms of pacing, Death Stranding is really slow at the start, but patient players are rewarded with an increasingly gripping narrative that ramps up in the latter half. By the end, most agree it's a profound and satisfying story unlike any other. You'll plot routes across vast landscapes, balancing Sam's load of packages, literally, and you use tools to overcome obstacles. You might use ladders to cross canyons, ropes to rappel down cliffs, or build bridges and zip lines in later stages. Core challenge is the environment itself: rocky mountains, rivers, even timefall, which is a mysterious rain that accelerates aging of whatever it touches. They all stand between you and your destination. There are combat elements, such as bands of human raiders, called mules, that might try to hijack your cargo. And there are supernatural BT creatures that trigger intense stealth horror sequences, where you must hold your breath and sneak or risk a confrontation with an entity. But unlike typical action games, combat isn't the focus. Often avoiding a fight is the best course. One standout feature is the online asynchronous multiplayer. While playing solo, you're subtly connected to other players' game worlds. You'll see structures that other players have built, and you can likewise build and leave behind equipment that might aid others. You can even leave messages or signs or donate resources to upgrade shared facilities. This creates a little bit of a feeling of community. Even though you're alone in the world, the presence of others is felt through the helpful things you'll find. It's all seamless and doesn't require coordinating play sessions, just happens in the background, making the world feel collaboratively improved over time. The pros of Death Stranding's gameplay are unique. Its meditative quality, but there's also something oddly satisfying about plotting a journey, then executing it step by step. You manage stamina, keep balance. When you finally crest that mountain and you see your destination in the distance, it feels earned. There's also an infrastructure building aspect, and I didn't really expect to enjoy the game that much at the beginning. It's definitely not a game for everyone. Some might find the pacing slow or the delivery task repetitive, but it's definitely fun to put on in the background, or if you enjoy subtle mastery of movement and logistics rather than constant combat. That said, the director's cut adds a bit more variety, like new gadgets, racetracks, to spice things up. There are also boss battles and action set pieces sprinkled throughout, especially as the story climaxes. So it's not all hiking and no adrenaline. So in terms of graphics and performance, it runs on the Decima engine, the same engine as Horizon Zero Dawn, and it delivers photorealistic environments and character models. The landscapes are desolate yet beautiful, from mossy highlands and snowy peaks to black sand beaches and otherworldly phenomena. On Mac, the game is available as a native Apple Silicon port and requires an Apple M series chip. It won't run on Intel Macs. The performance is actually really impressive. I was getting consistently around 60 frames per second on my base M4 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and even an M1 MacBook Air can run the game on low-medium settings at around 30 FPS or so. Ultimately, Death Stranding on Mac is a captivating audio-visual experience. It's available on the Mac App Store for $39.99. So there you have it. 5 of my favorite games that run great on Apple Silicon Macs, each offering a unique experience. I'm doing a giveaway of all 5 of these games, so make sure to subscribe and comment down below.